tell me right from the beginning what happened, because
I've been having an issue the last couple of weeks that's brand new to me, because I'm very much like a kind of chill person. And I've been having this issue where I wake up in the morning and my mouth hurts and my teeth hurt. And I know it's because I'm clenching my teeth and grinding my teeth all night. And this is a brand new thing for me, which just makes me think that there is a lot of pressure energy coming
yes.
in. And it's affecting me more so on that level than in the everyday level, right? So
Okay.
I woke up Monday morning and I already knew I had like looming bills over my head that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this, and everything was everything felt in a way like it was falling apart. But I knew at the core, oh, you're going to hear Josie playing with the ball
Okay.
right now. Josie. But I knew at the core that everything would be fine. Bring it here, darling. All right. I knew at the core everything was going to be fine, but well, okay, Monday morning, I also had a weird dream about an old friend of mine, and she was crying and she was upset, and I was there for her, and she and I have always had this connection that I cannot explain. And, but we haven't talked in many years, but I still think about it often. I'm sorry if I get distracted. I've got cats like
That's
playing.
okay. Yeah. No.
So I had this bad dream about her, and then I woke up, so I was already like in a heightened sense of like, and then I felt my mouth, and it was so sore from grinding all night. And I really hope that stops soon. But then, when I woke up, I got an email from Voices, which, if anybody doesn't know, I'm a voiceover artist. So I pay for this site, a subscription to voices.com, and then it has a bunch of auditions up on the page, so you can go in at any time and you can record what's available, and then you upload your auditions to get each individual job. And so I got an email from them, and they're like, oh yeah, your $400 is, for the year is due today. And I was just like, because you didn't give me any sort of like, hey, in 2 weeks this is due, so be ready. It was more like, hey, by the way. So I was like, okay, I'm already stressed from that dream about Astrid. I'm stressed from, clenching my face all night. And now I've got this, and I've got another, like a big hydro bill coming this week where they're going to shut us off if I don't do anything about it, And so I wasn't in the best state. So I put up on Facebook, just on my general profile, I'm not feeling great today, like something along those lines. Like, I don't feel like I can do it anymore. And the responses that I got in 48 hours blew my mind. Yeah, I was totally mind blown by all of the love and the support and you got this, girl, we believe in you. There was one guy, I believe it was Robert Hawley, who said, I'm sorry, Charlie's shaking my computer, my iPad. He said, we love you so much. And I could feel it, and it was bringing tears to my eyes. All of this, oh geez, I'm having cat troubles today. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
So it brought tears to my eyes, because I was like, just in such this heightened sense of anxiety. And then to have all of these people saying, you fucking rock, don't lose focus, don't lose hope, you got this. And of course there was much more than that. People said much more longer, more detailed things than I don't view them as platitudes, but just the platitudes of like, you go girl and you got this and stuff. But that was all so helpful. And there was actually one of my favorite comments I actually wanted to read on the show. And it was from Brent Thomas of Paranormal Portal, which is on TFR, and little plug. But he said something really incredible that I think is really great for us visual people. He said, this is precisely when you need to forge ahead the most. Every success has this part of the journey. The part where our hero faces insurmountable odds, where their worlds are shaking apart. This is when we grab onto the arms of our chairs and encourage our heroes forward, as if to send a piece of our heart to them, so that we can lift them up just a little higher, and we can make them push just a little harder, and we can all rejoice in the triumph together. And either the hero conquers things, or they find the path they were looking for all along. I don't know you well, but my heroes are anyone who is following their heart and chasing their dream. Living your truth isn't always easy, but living a lie is unforgiving. Sending you love. Hope it helps. And I was just like,
You get chills when you read that? Because I just
that everything that everybody said jumped out at me, but I figured that was a really good one to read for the show because, I mean, you know, art imitates life and life imitates art, and you know, we're so surrounded by superhero movies and things like that. So I thought that's really helpful to anybody who's watching who may watch entertainment, because we are the heroes in our journeys. You know, it's just sometimes we feel like the extra in our journey, you know?
Because of this physical world and everything we have to deal with as far as being able to do what we have to do, we have to have that piece of paper. And, you know, I get it, and I felt for you so much because, Holly, I've been there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And it was very hard. We almost lost everything. And you know what? I've lost everything before. When I left my previous life's partner, I left with nothing. Just my kids. And I had to start from scratch again, where I had everything. And I had, well, maybe I shouldn't say it like that. I had a lot of materialistic things. But, you know, when you're raising little kids, you know, they had a built-in swimming pool, they had everything, right?
Yeah.
And when I took them away from that, it was very hard for them because they didn't understand. But I had to start all over again. And I get it. I felt for you. And at the same time, I know you're going to get through this because I did.
Yeah. And that was how I felt too. I was just like, this sucks. But at the same time, you know, the observer, Holly, was like, just keep cool. It's going to happen. It's going to be great. And it was amazing too, because there was stuff that happened behind the scenes that nobody could see. My cats are driving me mental today. Holy moly. They'll fight each other elsewhere. Holy.
Give her some catnip. Lock her in a bedroom.
I just planted catnip in my deck garden.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm really excited that I'm going to be able to share that with them. They're going to lose their fucking minds.
They might eat it. They might eat it before you get it harvested.
Yeah, they can't access it, so it's good. Yeah, there were things happening behind the scenes, like I had people private messaging me, you know, saying, I just saw this and I stopped in my tracks. Can I help you? Are you okay? Like I had three or four different people private message me on Facebook and be like, how are you? You know, I'm feeling for you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you hope and strength and everything. And it blows my mind because, as you know, back in February, I was having money issues as well. And I was starting to panic. And for the first time ever, I did a fundraiser, and it was a fundraiser on Facebook. And it was the first time I've ever done a fundraiser anywhere. And the response to that was overwhelming. Like I thought I would be invisible like usual and nobody would notice and nobody would care, whatever. But I ended up getting like $250 more than the $1,200 goal. And from you and from all these other people that I haven't even like talked to before. And back then that really instilled in me like this hope for humanity, you know, because we see so much pain and so much suffering by design, and you know, we see so much just horrible stuff sometimes, you know. So
with the group that we're in, as far as the horrible stuff, just don't focus on that. It's there for distraction. And although these things are happening, as long as you stay aware, as long as you still like continue working on yourself and your journey and your path, you're aware. There's nothing we can do about these horrible things. It's not in our control.
No.
So when you learn to, and this is what I wish me and you could just have phone conversations, because sometimes shit clicks in my head and I can't get to the computer to write it out for you. You need to start letting go of what you can't control, what you can't fix at the moment. But when you can fix it, it will be there. The answer will be there. And the answers are always there. That's the thing. So if you just learn how to let go and not focus on anything that's negative, be aware of it, but not focusing on it, You need to
Yeah.
stay here, always here. It's hard to do, but once you start doing it every day and you keep reminding yourself, it helps so much. You can pull yourself together, and it doesn't take long to do, and it helps. I had to do the same thing. I just wanted to say that to you the other day so badly. Holly, you need to just let go and allow what's going to happen because it has to bring you to your next level. Whatever that might be. The group that we're in are powerful people.
Yes, absolutely.
And if by chance you're nobody knows what's going to happen at your next level. But when there's an upset like that, it's telling you something. There's a message there, right? Do you have to get off the island and him get a better job, or stepping up your game? Maybe you have to get a part-time job. Like there's things that have to, be thought about and put in perspective, and answers will come.
Oh, believe me, we've looked at all avenues, but like my default setting is just, oh, it's fine. We're absolutely fine. Like not in a naive way, but trusting the whole process and knowing that everything is good. But once in a while I get, and it happens once every few months or whatever, where I'll just have a day where I'm just like, okay, I'm panicking a little bit right now.
And it always seems to be in the time that your bills are coming in. I went through the same thing.
Yeah. But another really great thing about this, well, everything has turned out way better than what it was. Like everything has unfolded in a much more positive way. That very night, an old friend of ours came by who actually lives in Victoria, and he's on the island for like a week. He comes and stays for like a week and then goes back and that sort of thing. And sometimes people do that. He had cash work that very night, and so Eric took off that night and went and did cash work, which was great. And now every single night until Friday he has that cash work, which is just putting us over it. But my father helped us out a little bit, and we paid for that sort of Damocles hydro bill that we had, so that's no longer an issue. And I wrote to Voices and I said, look, I'm going through a really hard time. Is there any way I can pay on monthly or whatever? But they've gotten rid of the monthly. But what's really great is they've extended my year to the 27th of May, which is amazing because I get paid on Friday, and I just got 2 jobs this morning. And so it's like, I will have that by early next week. I'll have that, so. And Eric is also looking at getting a job at another place, and he did an interview yesterday and it went very well. And they said, and because things are precarious where he is right now because new management was brought in. And
is he on the island working, or does he have to go off the island?
No, he stays here. But so he went to this interview, and they really loved him, and they know us anyway because it's the place where we buy all of our chicken feed and our cat food and straw and stuff. Yeah, it's a little gardening center. And a little plug for Foxglove on Salt Spring Island. They're awesome. Everybody there is awesome. So hopefully he'll maybe start there next week doing some part-time stuff. And meanwhile, I'm doing all my audition stuff. I'm making jewelry. I'm doing music. And
are you selling much of your jewelry and your other stuff? Is that going okay?
Not lately, but when it does come in, it really helps. And what was really cool also on Monday is that I put up another post, and I was like, if anybody can help me, if you've liked my album and you'd like to buy it and really help me out, $8.18 US doesn't seem like a lot to most people, but it would be totally a lot for me. And I ended up selling 2 albums that day.
Nice.
Yeah, and what's great about Bandcamp is that you don't have to just pay based on the price that the artist put up. You can pay more. So each of these people paid $20 instead of, and that's what I do too. Yeah, I know, it's really incredible. So this was another reminder of like, sometimes when you ask people for help, they help you, which is just like, it's still this newfangled idea to me, that that people who don't even really know me will go out of their way to like, you know, oh, I'm going to buy your album because I've listened to it and I like it. So here's some money, you know, or I'm going to buy a piece of art, or I'm going to buy a piece of jewelry, or I'm going to, you know, and the other really great thing about this thread is that it connected me to somebody that I used to work with in LA, who always has lots of work and used to hire me to demo her songs because she's a songwriter. So she, after that, she was like, what are your rates? What's your availability? Do you have an at-home studio and stuff? And I was just like, oh, this is great. You know, like, it didn't just, the thread that I wrote didn't just open up all of these people saying, we love you and you're really great. And it just create all this love energy. It also potentially got me some work, you know, in the future. So, and working with someone that I used to work with all the time in Los Angeles. So I'm really happy about that.
Good.
So yeah, this is my long-winded way of saying people are fucking awesome. And, you know.
I know. So you posted an update at 3:00 yesterday? Or
Maybe.
It was 3 hours, I think, by the time I saw it. But I don't know where the update was. It was still the same thing. Like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But that they said it was an update.
Huh.
No?
I don't know. I don't know. I wrote back to a few things to a few different people, but I haven't had a chance in the last 24 hours to write anything else because I've been running around. I've had some chicken issues. Yes, I have 3 beautiful roosters, the daddy and his 2 little boys. And the 2 little boys yesterday, okay, so I'm in the kitchen and I'm just singing and making myself some water and squeezing half a lemon in, and I'm hearing thump. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
What?
Right? Yeah, like this big thump. I don't know. I'm thinking, oh, okay, our neighbor out back, you know, he threw something in the back of his truck, you know, a log or something. And, you know, so I get back to la-di-da-di-da, like the state I'm usually in. And then I hear this other thump and then another thump. And I'm like, what is that? So I open up the front door and I'm still hearing this thumping, and I'm thinking that like our warehouse door is open, like where we have cold storage and we hold our straw and our hay and stuff. And I'm walking the deck and I'm looking at the door and it's totally closed. Like I was thinking maybe it was thumping open and closed, but it was closed. And then the thump happened again and I felt it on my feet on the deck.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, something's under the deck. You know, and because I'm naturally imaginative, I start thinking, oh no, it's someone come to kill me. It's a robber. It's like, you know, there's all this crazy stuff in the middle of the day. And you know, so I ducked down and looked under the deck, and my 2 little boys, my little roosters, are fighting to the death, like cockfighting. And they're like 15 feet under the deck and I can't get to them, you know, and I'm like, okay, please, you know. So I started saying, like, whoever watches over my flock, if you could please gently push my boys this way so that I can grab them and clean them up and separate them, that would be really appreciated. And it took a few more minutes of me going, Tiger Lily, Chia, because those are my boys, and like yelling at them, like, come here, come to grandma, come on, you know. And finally they came out. And they were both just blood all over their faces.
Oh, no.
And Chia had pulled the back of Tiger Lily's comb, like, off of his head. So he had, like, strings of flesh, like, hanging and just blood everywhere. And his face was all puffy. So I grabbed Chia, who is not the aggressor, it's Tiger Lily, and brought him in the house and cleaned him up and put coconut oil all over all of his scratches and cuts and everything. And so now they're separate. I've had to put Tiger Lily in the backyard by himself.
Because they're dominant. They're probably at the age where they're dominating space. And if there's not enough hens for each one to have their own flock, they'll fight till the death.
Yeah, they have enough. They totally have enough, because you should have like 10 to 12 girls per boy, and we have 29 girls for 3 boys. But Tiger Lily he's been showing for the last couple of months. They're almost a year old. They'll be a year old like June 11th. He's been showing aggression, and up to this point, it's totally been innocent. It's just been like bros wrestling, you know, and then it happens for a minute and then they move on, you know. But this was something else entirely, and it was really ironic too, because Monday when our friend Kevin came over, I was talking about the roosters, as I tend to do. It's one of my favorite conversations, my chickens. And I was talking about the roosters, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, they have little scuffles here and there, but it's nothing too serious, you know. But Tiger Lily's always the aggressor, and if he really needs to get his own flock, he'll tell me. Well, Tuesday, he told me, Grandma, I need my own flock now, please. And as much as it pains me to have to make that boy move on, and this is the sweet little guy who I raised from an egg, who used to sleep on my thigh when he was like this big, you know, is like, he's my little grand boy, and I'm just like, but you're the aggressor, which I'm not mad at him about. I'm just like, you know, you need your own flock. You are an alpha male. You need your own flock. And what's really great about Chia and their dad, little Brucey, he's named after my dad, Bruce, is that he acquiesces to his father. You know, he's very much like, okay, you're the alpha. I will do the secondary work. He's very much like that. But now Tiger Lily is like,
yeah,
no, I'm the alpha, and I'm not happy with this. So now he's in the backyard by himself with food and water, and he can see the other chickens, but he's not. Yeah. They're not together. So I put up an ad on the exchange yesterday saying, this beautiful boy needs his own flock, you know.
Hey, listen,
please come and get him.
I gotta be in the house. Hold on.
Again. What's with you and bees?
Yeah, I don't know. So yes, I pulled some cards yesterday because I do my readings every morning, and I haven't. There you go. And I haven't. Couple days went by. I haven't done it because I've been too busy. And the freaking bee card came up again. I got it 3 times in the last few days. That's so amazing. Yeah, I don't know.
That's amazing.
Pretty funny though.
The numbers thing has dwindled down for me. What about you?
Has it?
It still happens a little, but it's calmed down.
Yesterday, let me grab my phone.
Okay.
So I'm taking pictures, right? Because eventually I'm just gonna add it all up and see what the hell. So yesterday, I got that.
Of course. Does that say March 21st? Your phone?
Oh, it does. I'm sorry. That's not even, that's March 21st. Oh, that's because I'm way up. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I thought for some reason your phone, right. I thought we went back 2 months in the past or something. Oh, there it is. Well, it's still the same thing. Wow.
And?
Oh, I can't see that one. What's it say? I'm blind as a bat. 222.
444.
Nice. 440. See, blind as a bat.
444. Wow. 1255.
Yep.
So that's on the 14th. 14th. That's 3 yesterday alone.
That's crazy.
And then, that was on my stove. Oh. And then the 12th.
222 again. 1222.
1222.
The 12th. 1222. 933.
933. On the 11th. Well, look at this one. Ooh.
Yep, 9/11.
On the 11th, 9/11.
Yeah, I got 9/11 yesterday. Interesting.
Did you really?
Yeah. And on the weekend, nice. On the weekend, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, each day I got 11:33 and 11:44, and then 11:33 and 11:44, and you don't think about it, like you don't go, oh, I'm gonna come back in 11 minutes to make sure.
Look, it's 1:11 right now here. 1:11. I just looked at the clock.
Of course, and I just looked at my clock and it said 10:10 and 55 seconds. Yeah.
It's random. Like
never mind. It still is happening. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still happening. It's really strong for me though. It's happening every day now.
Yeah, I find it happens more so when I am in a better mood. Like I didn't see any of that on Monday. I didn't see any of that.
Well, Aluna Ash talked about this on one of her videos last week. And she said, I don't know if I sent it to you, but she said, when you see those numbers, you're supposed to stop and give thanks, gratitude for anything that you, even if you don't have it. Because
I've been doing that.
Thank you for my healing, even though you're sick. Thank you. You know what I mean? I have gratitude for everything I have, and thank you for my abundance, or whatever. You're supposed to stop and honor it for a split second.
Yeah. I've been practicing that since you told me that. I've been practicing, because I've always heard, like, if you see these numbers all the time, it's like your higher self, or it's the universe, or whatever, or the universe, you know, telling you you're on the right track, you're doing good. But then you said to me, after I mentioned that to you like a month ago or something, you said to me, well, what I've heard is that it's oh shoot, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. It's been one of those, I'm super tired. It's been one of those mornings. I've been happily busy. But so you said it's an activation. It's letting you know that you're about to activate. And then Aluna Ash says, be grateful when you have these moments. So we have these three potential.
She also said she's the one that said activation.
Oh, okay, cool.
And she said the other thing too. So it makes sense that when you stop and you honor it, or you give it attention, and you give thanks for whatever, the activation. Thank you for the activation. You can say that.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's a great idea.
Gratitude for who I am, what I am, and my higher self, and whatever.
Oh, okay.
I gotta let my little dog in.
Sure. And for anybody who doesn't know, just for my own little self-plug, the picture that's hanging over Laureen's shoulder is one of my pictures. I drew that mandala. It's called Unlocked. I actually took, when I was working on that, when I first started on it, I had my house key, and I literally, because I drew that originally on paper with pen and marker and everything, and that, what you're showing is the digital version that I redid on my iPad later on, so it's like perfectly symmetrical. But when I did the original version, I took my house key after I set up my grid on my little piece of paper, and I set up all my circles, because that's my guide that I go by. I took up my house key and I set it all the way around and traced it.
That's really awesome. I love the key thing in it. That made sense to me so much. I was like, wow, keys to whatever. Keys to
it's
whatever.
called Unlocked.
And right. Right. It just flows. It's beautiful. I gave my daughter, I printed this one out the other day. My daughter and her husband, or her boyfriend, came, and I told you in the email, she loved your book, and she wanted to start coloring. I started coloring in that book.
Oh, good.
But I gave her another one, The Enchanted Forest, which she fell in love with. And I had
that's Jenna Basford or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I gave it to her to take home.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong name.
No, I don't know. They took it home, and they were both sitting here coloring, and just right into just meditating and coloring at the same time. And I'm sitting at the table shuffling my cards because
wonderful.
They're busy. So I told her I would order another of your books for her.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'll do that this week.
I wish I had copies right now, you know, because that'd be cheaper, but I got nothing.
Well, they're not bad price. They're not bad price at all.
No, that's not that bad. I had a few people, when it came out a few years ago, review it on their YouTube channels, and there was one person who underneath said, it's a little too much of a price for a book, and I was just like, well, I understand, but it's hand drawn. Like I drew every single thing.
It's not too much, but you're always gonna get your haters out there, right?
Yeah, or critics. But I didn't say anything because I didn't know what to say. Because at that point I was still kind of thinking, oh, maybe it is too much.
Thank you for chiming in, asshole. No.
Yeah.
I would never say that, but I would definitely say, well, thank you for chiming in.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really grateful that you love it, and I can't wait to see what you
Oh,
color
I
with
love it. I did do a page. Let me go get it so I can show you.
Oh, nice.
I did the very front one.
I always look forward to seeing what people have done with my art, because I do color versions myself now on my iPad, which is super fun. And but it's really interesting to see what people do. Oh, yeah, it's getting. Ah! I wonder why it does that. Because anything white or anything solid colored, almost weird. Well, what I can see, it's awesome. You did the "This Book Belongs To" page.
I did, and look at what it says.
Oh, I can't see it. What's it say? This book belongs to. Oh, I can't read it. What's it say?
All that is.
All that is. Nice. I'm wondering if you can see it in the. For some, I can't see it because I have the eyes of a bat.
Can you see it now?
No, I mean I can see it, but I don't know what it's. Oh, I can see it. Okay, if I look on my computer, I can make it out.
Yeah.
It was really cool because we got a comment under episode 3, and our friend Sam Beatty, I hope I'm saying her name right. She was like, "I'm sitting here coloring mandalas," and I'm like, "Oh, you know, I have a book," and she's like, "It's the next one on my list." You know.
There you go.
So, coloring mandala. Well, we've mentioned this on the show before that mandalas and kaleidoscopes and all of that. That's what you tend to see when you take a good amount of psilocybin. And then you start to see the fractals and mandalas and kaleidoscopes, undulating in front of you on everything. Everything suddenly has a geometric pattern and movement, and I started drawing these things years ago before I even had a really big mushroom trip that gave me that visual. And there's something so powerful. I mean, there's something really powerful in coloring it, but to just draw it and create it from scratch, there's something really powerful there too.
Oh yeah, you're creating.
And I can't even explain it, that you're tapping into something that you've never seen, and then years later you see it. That's just I love stuff like that. That's just more confirmation.
I do too. Yeah. And I'm so I pick things out so easily now. And this has just started in the last few months where I'll look at something and I'll be like, oh wow. And I just keep looking at it and my mind starts to go and I'm just like, wow. Like right now I'm looking up at the sky. There's a big, beautiful cloud going by and I don't know what it's made of, but it looks real nice. Looks like there's a seahorse hanging off the side of it. It's beautiful.
Nice. You should look up seahorse then.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
I think sometimes they come in weird, you'll see something in the cloud, or you'll see something on a tree, or
I see everything
something.
In trees. I see faces everywhere. We have in our shower we put in natural stone, but they're long like this, and they've got a pattern to them. And every time I'm in there, if I'm cleaning it or taking a shower or whatever, and I'm staring at it, and I'm like, oh my God, there's a mermaid. Oh my God, that's so-and-so's face. Honest to God, I see faces in everything.
Nice.
Even the trees. I'll stare at the trees and I can totally make out the tree's face. As if it would have a face. It's so amazing. I love it. Yeah, I like doing stuff like that.
Me too. I don't know what it means, if anything, because
no, I don't know. I just think
we tend to ascribe
your consciousness is opening up more, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not so closed off. You're not blinded to that degree where you're not seeing this beautiful stuff. Even if it's not there, if you can make it out, if you can rearrange, use your mind, and all of a sudden you see a face in a tree, I think that's your consciousness is saying, you can do this.
Almost kind of those magic eye puzzles that have all the patterns and stuff.
I love those.
You shift your eyes just a little bit, and all of a sudden, bam, something's there. I feel like that's a euphemism for life. It's when you can dial into the other frequencies and see something different than what is physically there. That's a huge deal. Josie, you're doing a good job catching that ball.
That makes sense to me, what you just said.
Yeah. And there are other ways that we do it too. I mean, well, humans, you know, we're always seeing stuff in the clouds, you know, and
Patterns.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're made up of sacred geometry and patterns and frequencies and waves and
right.
all this strange.
It's all inside of us, right?
Yeah.
Everything's inside of us.
Yeah.
Because we are the all. Hence, all that is.
The all that is. I love that you signed it like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me what you've been going through, because I've been
good. I've been
good.
Just staying busy. I worked in the gardens all day yesterday. I did some work
Good.
out there. And my husband came home from work. He's been dealing with some stuff because his partner, they just found out that his partner, which is not much older than my husband, it found out that he had brain cancer. He was cutting the grass and he collapsed. And they rushed him in, and they found 3 spots on his brain, and they're young couple.
Wow.
So his partner was beside himself. Of course, it's his brother, right?
Yeah.
And so they've been dealing with that, and so I just been staying in the wings, allowing him to do what he has to do. So he come home from work last night, and he's like, I'm going to go golfing with one of his employees. And I said, okay. Which he loves to golf in the summer, so it's a constant thing. Like every Thursday, he's on a league. Well, it's like I don't even, it's not really a league. It's just a bunch of people that get together with my son, because my son's a golfer too. And then every Friday, me and him go out with a couple, and me and the lady ride around in the golf cart and chat and, you know, have our little drink, and they golf, and we just follow them around, which is kind of fun. That's every Friday. And then during the week, if he comes home from work and needs a stress reliever, he just goes. So I have a lot of time to get outside and do what I have to do, because I have a lot of gardens, and, you know, this year I'm trying to get them to the point where next spring comes, I really don't have to do much because everything's in place. Just a little bit of cleanup and I'm good. But my vegetable gardens, I got to get them in. I'm going to be getting them in by this weekend. So after our show, I'm going to be going out there, getting my shorts on and my scrubbies and getting out there and working. So,
that's wonderful.
But I've been I've been really good. Just flowing.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I've had a few blockages, but I'm for the most part flowing, and our garden is going awesome. We've already we have a huge 30 by 40 garden in our front yard, and then right off our deck, Eric just recently dug me out a little, like, I want to say like it's maybe 12 feet across, like 4 feet this way. And
the one at your porch, the one you showed me you sent me a picture of your porch. That's nice.
Yeah. And I still have to add a few more things to fill it, but I have forest green parsley and Italian oregano and catnip and lavender and a couple different salads, and everything's organic and non-GMO, and like I love it. And our big garden, we filled up maybe like 25% of it, but we're slowly, because there's a particular place that we go, little plug for Chorus Frog, there's a particular place that we go, and we go like once a week or every 2 weeks or whatever, with like 10-20 bucks cash, and just see what's new, and then just grab whatever's new. And I can't wait for eggplants, because eggplant is one of my most favorite foods ever. Which seems like a really weird food for people to be like, oh, I love it. But Brussels sprouts is my other favorite.
I do use eggplant a lot in the summertime, because I have an Italian dish that I do with eggplant, and you slice it long ways or short, however you want, round or the long ways, and then you salt it and let it sit for an hour or so until all the bitterness comes out, and then it's layered with mozzarella, and I make my own pasta sauce. So I make an Italian sauce, It's not chunky or nothing, just the sauce, like more of a marinara. So that's all layered in there. And the cheese is all layered in between. So it's almost like a lasagna, but it's made with just eggplant. It's so good. Oh, you bread it too. You fry it, like you bread it on a really light breading. And I use coconut oil, organic coconut oil. So there's no extra anything in there.
Yeah, same.
So you make them on the crispy side, and then you layer all the crispy stuff, all the crispy pieces of eggplant, and then everything else in between. It's very good and so easy. So easy.
You have to send me that recipe.
I will.
It sounds awesome. I make like an eggplant parmesan, but I don't use parmesan. I use organic goat feta. And that's really great. And I wrap it in organic quinoa flour, and then I freeze it, and then I fry it in organic coconut oil, and then I also cover it with like hemp seed, chia seed, flax seed, because hemp, chia, flax is something that I have every day in something. Yeah. You know, because we don't eat meat. We eat like the odd fish, and we eat the odd like prawns or whatever, but we don't eat like cow or chicken or pig or anything. So having hemp, chia, flax every single day helps to keep things not so unproteined, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. And also burgers. I make eggplant burgers and turnip burgers and parsnip burgers. I like to experiment with different burgers. And I make my own little breads from quinoa flour and egg from our girls. And pink Himalayan salt and spices and hemp, chia, flax. And and I just fry these little breads. I just put like a little cup of the batter into the coconut oil, and it makes my own bread. So we don't have to buy, for the most part, we don't buy yeast bread, you know, that has sugar and stuff in it. So yeah.
Well, I've been making my own tortillas. If you want that recipe, I'll send you that.
Yes.
It's very, very good. I make a whole batch. I get them all rolled out, and I have a scale. So I weigh every little ball, so I know they're all the same. And I roll them out all around, and I put them in between wax paper, and I freeze them.
Nice.
So they're always ready to go.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so powerful making your own food and growing your own food. Yeah. You know?
That's how I grew up. I didn't grow up with box stuff. We lived on the farm. We made everything by scratch. And when I bake at Christmas for everybody, and when I bake at Thanksgiving, like I don't celebrate those things, but we do go to his mom's house, and so I bring stuff there, but I bake for days at a time before each event, because I bring everything homemade.
Yeah.
And then I have extra for the girls. So when I visit my daughter at Christmas time, she gets a whole box of all kinds of stuff that I baked, goodies, and then whatever she requests me to bring as far as food goes, right? Not the goodies, but the food.
Yeah.
So that's another couple days I got to cook and bake, and if there's not enough to bring to her. And then when my other daughter visits, everything's laid on the table, and and then they take whatever they want home from that. So I usually end up with zero when I'm done for here, because they don't have time to do that stuff. So
you gotta make time. It has to be a priority, you know, like, and this goes into something that I'm not an expert at, but at least have had experience in, that we've touched on a little bit before, which is I used to be obese. I used to be 320 pounds, and I'm 5'2". I used to have way worse skin than I currently have. And although I love my skin now, but I used to have terrible skin where like just psoriasis, and it would itch like crazy and make me insane. And, you know, I would scratch at it and I would rub it off in the shower, and my skin would bleed, and it would bleed poison and all that stuff. Like it was not good. And my thyroid didn't work. And, you know, like once I realized, this isn't exactly what we're talking about, but food and health and all that. Food does equal, the food you eat does equal what health you have. That saying, you are what you eat, is like, there's so much more depth to it than just, you know, a platitude of, you know, or a funny little saying, you are what you eat. You know, it's like, it really is like, if you eat junk food, your body becomes junk, you know, it becomes like a trash pit, you know, but if you eat fresh, amazing things, if you cleanse sugar, and that my problem was candida, because I have that issue for many, many years. And if anybody wants to read my whole experience, go to a betterbalanceblog.blogspot.com.
We should put
And
that in the
I will. It's a long story, and it would take up too much time. And I've already monopolized so much of the conversation with chicken speak and money speak, you know. But yeah, I figured you wouldn't care, but still, I have to, you know. So if you want to read about that, go read about that. But ultimately, I cured all of my issues. Like, you know, I'm half the weight that I used to be. Like, I was in a Triple H bra, baby. You know what I mean?
What?
Those are some big titties. Yeah.
They make
Triple
those?
H.
They make H? I think they have
Triple H. Yeah, like I was going to a specific, like, obese store. And they're double D's now. I'll take that. You know, they're still a little too big for my liking, and they get in the way all the time. But I love them. And they're good the way they are, but Triple H, I mean, come on. And wow. I was a size 26 pants. I'm now a size 12. Like, it just really crazy stuff. If anyone out there has any health issues, you know, because health issues or obesity, or you feel sick all the time or whatever, if you get rid of sugar, no joke, it will change so many things, like an unbelievable amount. And considering candida is directly connected to so many diseases, you know, like diabetes and heart disease and so many different types of cancers and stuff, if you get rid of that, you know, or at least get rid of it for a while, and then when you put it back in, have it be like a little sprinkling, you know, like 95% of the time you're good. But
did you try honeys? Any honeys when you were, instead of sugars, did you try honeys? Like organic honey?
When I quit, because I was really, really sick, and I ended up literally living in a bathtub for 6 months, when screaming and convulsing and crying literally 24/7. I wasn't eating for weeks. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep for weeks. Like, it was an insane time of my life, but I wouldn't change it for anything, because it changed everything for the better. I wasn't eating any sugar. I stopped eating even fruit sugar. I stopped eating, which I'm not sure is the smartest thing, but it was something that I felt like I needed to do. Like, I need to go completely cold, proverbial turkey, you know, and I did that for 8 months. And then 8 months later, the first thing I ate was an organic, fresh strawberry. Wow. And it was the most delicious thing I had ever had. I was almost orgasming over this freaking strawberry, because it was just so good. And then after that, you know, we were using, we tried to have like teas and stuff with nothing in them, literally just an organic tea with some good water, and that was it. But, you know, once you start incorporating a little bit of sweet into it, you know, we all just kind of go, oh, sweet stuff is kind of nice, you know? So we used stevia for a while, and we still do sometimes. And we buy a local organic honey, and we try to use it sparingly, but it's in our tea every single day, because it's just so yummy.
I mean, if anybody wants to get off sugar, because sugar is, well, they say it's programmable too.
Yes.
So you got to be careful. But it's really, sugar is the sickness of our whole world, really. I mean, even our young kids now. I live in a small town, and I see these kids on bikes. At least they're on bikes, for one thing, but they're obese.
Yeah.
Now we got a McDonald's here. We got across the street from McDonald's is Arby's. Across from Arby's is Burger King. You know what I mean? Like, these kids will drive their bikes there because it's easy to get to, and we have pizza places everywhere. And when I see their parents, well, guess what? Their parents are obese as well. You look at people's shopping carts, you know, no judgment. I mean, you know what?
Yeah. Just an observation.
An observation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no wonder. People don't know, they don't look at this information, but if they were to get off sugar and still want that little bit of sweetness in their coffee or their tea, honey, organic honey.
Yes. But if your goal, if you are riddled with candida, you have to get off sugar.
Get it
Like
cleansed.
even
Candida
honey, even maple syrup, even
yeah.
anything like that, get off it.
Right.
Although I think fruits are fine. And
But it
it
just
might be really,
depends. It depends
yes.
on the person, because everybody's
Yep.
blood types are different. And
Yep.
blood types and the way you eat have a lot to do with the way you're going to feel and look.
Yep.
Because blood types, when you start, you know, people don't realize that when you're going to go on a diet, you should research your blood type and find out what foods are compatible with that blood type, and you will
Yep.
be successful. But people don't know that.
Yeah. And listen to your body. If
And
you
listen
eat
to your
something,
body.
like if you eat something, even just a tiny amount, and you feel afterwards like you feel inflammation starting to happen, or you feel your skin get itchy, or you feel sick to your stomach, I mean, that's an indication that like maybe I shouldn't be eating this so much, you know?
Exactly.
It's like the difference between like Eric and I don't drink a lot of coffee, but once a week we enjoy a cup of local organic non-GMO coffee, and we buy the coffee beans and grind it ourselves, and you know, but anytime that we buy a coffee from, you know, or like I don't drink coffee at coffee shops. I'll buy like a chia latte or you know, something like that. Chia latte, chai latte. Sorry, I mixed up the vowels.
Hey, that might be good though, a chia latte.
That would be awesome.
You can grind those seeds.
Yeah.
Put them in your coffee.
But whenever I have that, or I have like anything like that at a coffee shop or something, this is what happens to me 20 minutes afterwards. My stomach starts to get really acidic and sick feeling. But with the coffee that we drink at home, it's a high quality coffee. So I have none of those. I have none of those things that happen. It's just like, wow, this is an incredible drink. You know, I don't feel caffeinated, you know, and sometimes that's what it takes is to not, you know, you're so used to eating things a certain way. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier, I make eggplant burgers and turnip burgers and, you know, and black bean burgers and chickpea burgers and things like that. You know, like you don't have to have a beef burger. You know, you can think outside the bun, you know, to quote Taco Bell, you know, think outside the bun. Like, you don't have to have beef. You can try something different. And trust me when I say it's delicious. You know? Like,
well, that's the thing. When you're making it yourself, you can add so many seasonings or whatever you want.
Yeah. And you get to create.
And you create. Exactly.
Yeah, you get to be creative.
And you're putting your love into it. And that's another good thing. Like, Solaris was saying on her Patreon show the other day too, and I've been doing this for a long time, but she said, you know, make sure she's not a meat eater, but she does feed her dogs meat, which I do. My dogs are on
well, yeah, you have to.
Bless
my cats eat corpse every day.
Yeah, but bless that food and bless that animal that has given its life, and do that to everything that you touch when you're making meals, because that in itself is giving the person that's eating it that love and that everything that you've put into that. And if you're in a bad mood and you're bitchy and you're fucking like just, you know, ready to kill somebody, or, you know,
ready to punch the world,
don't make food. Wait till you calm down and wait till you're centered, and then make your food. It's the worst thing you can do, because it affects you. We are totally energy. Agree. We are energy, and everything around us is energy. If you start working with that, you know, keep it in your mind and start working with that, everything you touch, you will have the Midas touch. Because you believe it. Not only, you don't have to, it's in there. It's you.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
And the same thing can be said for like anything that you're going to be ingesting. Like, for example, Chris and Sheree have talked about, you know, they have had fights while ayahuasca is brewing, and they throw it out because they don't want to ingest what is the energies that are going on there, you know?
Exactly.
What you put in your body really creates what you are.
It is.
And you know, you see all these kids going around, you know, who are obese and stuff. And in Ontario, I used to see that too, because I think where you live and where I used to live are very similar, where, you know, we had our main street, and it was literally one after the other. Subway, McDonald's, KFC, Arby's, Pizza Hut. It wasn't Arby's. Arby's was in London, Ontario. But anyway, maybe it's there now. I don't know. But there was also a Taco Bell and a Burger King, and it was just all in this little block radius. And we used to drive down that road, and it would make me feel sick.
You could smell it, right? You could smell it. Yes.
Yep.
When I go to the shop, because I'm on my way to the shop when I go to do paperwork, and I can smell meat cooking, and you see it billowing out the tops of their buildings.
Yep.
And it's in the air, and it smells terrible.
Yeah.
And the oil, oh my God, I'm just like,
it's awful.
It's so bad.
Yeah. And energetically, like I was feeling that before we moved out west, you know, energetically, it was just being amongst all that. I was like, this is so toxic. I don't want to see this every day. Even seeing this is pissing me off, you know, because at that point I had gotten to the point where I was starting to come out of being as sick as I was. And I had already alleviated a lot of problems, and I'd done a lot of reading and a lot of experiencing. And to see that again, you know, when I was finally able to leave the house again, to see that again just grossed me out in a way that I can't explain to you, you know, and because because in Ontario, that's what I saw too. I constantly saw fat people, and I mean fat people, not like a little chunky like me. I mean like fat people and obese people and people using walkers and canes and wheelchairs. And I'm not saying everybody using a wheelchair or whatever is, you know, it's all directly.
But when you're so big that you can't use your leg.
Yeah.
Look, where's your in the front row all the time? These people should be walking from, you know what I mean? I park rows and rows away from the store so I can walk in. Us
too. Sometimes we park blocks away, and we'll just walk down into Ganges, which is our main city, and like it makes it an occasion instead of just like, oh, we're going to a store, blah. You know, it's like, oh, we're gonna go down to Ganges Harbor and we're gonna see all the beautiful boats. We're gonna take our time and we're gonna walk around for a couple of hours and pick up what we need. You know, something, and I'm reminded of this boyfriend that I had when I was like 21. His name was Adam, and he was very, very sick. He was diabetic, which is all sugar. Whoa, you got your phone?
That's okay. It's not anybody that I need to talk to.
Okay. For him, it was absolutely all sugar, because when I was 21 and I was with Adam, I did a lot of drinking. I did a lot of beer drinking. So it was all yeast and sugar and coolers and things like that. Right. And so he would, when I was with him for about a year, and I was kind of sort of living with him for a few months and everything. And there was this one night we had just gone out drinking and dancing all night. Like, and we would dance all night. He would bring an extra t-shirt, because he would soak through his t-shirt, because his body was constantly telling him, like, stop with the sugar, bud, like, you know, and trying to cleanse it out, you know. And so he would be changing his shirt at the bar and stuff. But we came home this one night and we went to sleep. And all of a sudden I woke up the next day, not the next day, like at 2 a.m, because I could feel him shaking next to me on the bed. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, Adam. And he's trying to talk to me, and it's coming out like, like just all this weird gibberish, like he's malfunctioning. And I realized he's going into a diabetic coma. Right. So I had to call 911, and they came and got him and everything. And like everyone around him said to him, stop with the sugar, stop drinking so much, because it was such a thing for him. He was on like 8 different medications and shit like that. And it was just like, if he had just quit the sugar, you know, this wouldn't have been an issue. And at this point, he's lost a leg. He's had a leg amputated, you know, like after I left him, after we weren't together anymore. Years later, he had his foot amputated, and then now it's up to his knee, and it might be higher now, I'm not sure. But when I see stuff like that, you know, like I've been trying very, very hard, of course, you know, the last few years to like not hold pain and sadness for other people. You know, like when you see other
Well, you
people
can be
going,
compassionate at a distance.
yes,
Hold on 1 second. I just
yes.
over here. No, go ahead. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. You know, and that was an issue for me my whole life, was like holding on to, I could see how people were suffering. And that is so heartbreaking to me, because I don't want anybody, at one hand, of course, you know, the observer, Holly, realizes that we all need to go through shit. I needed to go through the bathtub because it turned me into a way better person than I used to be, and way more balanced and way more conscious and way more aware of what I do to my body and what I think, and how I act, and how I react and respond with others and relate with others. It opened up so many doors, and I killed so many demons in that time. You know, that there's no way I would trade that for anything. It was the worst experience I've ever gone through, and it was the greatest thing that I ever created for myself. So I would never want to take that away from somebody. You know, the idea of, well, you have to have a dark day of the soul in order to come out the other side. Because when you come out the other side, you know, in my experience, it was like I had known up to that point conceptually that I was powerful. But after I went through all of that, I experienced that I was powerful. And that's the real empowerment, right?
Right.
So I would never want to negate that for somebody else, you know, the possibility of growth and expansion.
Right? That's why we're here.
Yeah, but it's always been so painful for me to see how other people are suffering. I don't want people to be sad or angry or frustrated or whatever. And especially when it's people I care about and I know on any level. And, you know, so knowing that he was going through all that stuff was very hard on me at the time. I'm sure it was hard on him too, of course, but it was very hard on me at the time. But just in the last couple of years, I've learned how to not carry other people's or pain and sadness for other people.
Important, yes.
Yes.
Because when you take on their karmas or their pain, dude, it's not yours, and it just doesn't, you know, it's not good.
No, it affects us very negatively. And you know, I think that's something that empathic people tend to go through.
Yes, we do.
Is we have to learn that very, very hard lesson.
That's one of the biggest things that we're here on this planet to learn.
Yeah, I think so.
That you can be compassionate and loving, like all of those people on the post that you posted.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They were all compassionate and loving, and just to uplift you with words and pictures and whatever else. And you know what? It worked and it helped. None of them have to get involved to the point where they're crying in bed over your issue. You know what I mean?
And that's the last thing I would want, right? You know, like it was a lot that people had taken time out of their busy schedules, and because that takes a lot of energy to give love to somebody and I think from all that stuff happening, everybody helped open up doors for us.
For sure.
Because we know that we are where we're meant to be. We're meant to be on this island. We're meant to be on this property. I mean, we have the most incredible, understanding, kind-hearted landlords who, like, every time we see them, even if we're just like, hey, we only have $200 for you today, it's like, no, we love you. This is wonderful. Thank you. You know, we don't have them banging down the door, and they're really incredible in that we don't pay for May on May 1st. We have all of May paid on May 30th, and they are cool with that. And because this is the norm now, right? It's like so many people now are going through this, like, I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I don't know how I'm going to buy food. I'll say from my perspective, I have no fucking clue how people are having children. Let me just say that.
I know, right? I know.
I don't get it. Like, from a financial standpoint, we have 3 cats and we have 32 chickens, and we have scrambled for years. And so I couldn't imagine having a little version of me and Eric running around saying, you know, can you buy me clothes? Can you buy me school supplies? Can you buy me, you know, my hobby things? Can you buy me more food? And it's just like, I have no idea, Laureen, how people, and I know people with like 3 children, 5 children, and I'm just like,
kids
how are y'all doing that? You know?
Kids aren't cheap, but because of the society that we live in, the world that we live in, you know, they see other kids having things. Well, why can't I have that or whatever, right? But at the same time, when I raised my kids, they, like I said, they had what they needed and more, only because I never did growing up. But at the same time, they were raised to share, to be compassionate, all of those things, because when they would go to school, they would come home and they'd say, Mom, you know, I brought this. I always made sure they had art sets at Christmas, always.
Good.
And they weren't,
as an artist, I fully approve.
They weren't expensive ones, just stuff that they always had, art supplies, right?
Yep.
So one day, this is just one of many stories. My one daughter came home and she said, you know, Mom, I brought it to school, and this girl really liked it so much. She started crying, and she was, you know, she wondered why she couldn't have something like this or whatever. Aww. Right? So I went and I bought her one, and she brought it to her the next day.
Aw, that's wonderful.
But they, you know, I did that many times. The girls that they used to hang around with, if they didn't have much, I would just say, okay, guys, come on, I got to run to the store for a few things. And I would take them to the store, and I would buy her, this girl, whatever she needed at the time. Always coming home, like, she would always go home with a gift, some sort of a gift.
That's wonderful. That
would help them out. Not only that, I made lunches for kids. I made lunches for kids on a regular basis that would go to school with no lunch. And the school wouldn't, they wouldn't help them out. And so...
Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it?
When I made my kids' lunches in the morning, that kid got a lunch too.
That's
and that kid, to this day, when they run into them, when this kid would run into my daughters, like they'll text me and say, hey, do you remember so and so? I'm like, yes, I remember so and so. Well, he said thank you for the lunches back then, and they're doing that today. You know what I mean?
They're still grateful for it.
But my kids are like that. They have big hearts, and they're givers. They were raised to be givers. Now, at the same time, now that they're older, they realize when to give and when not to give. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because people did take advantage of them.
Yeah, they can do that sometimes.
It's important because of the society that we live in. You know, these kids are being born, and I see it here. This is not an area that's a wealthy area. There's a lot of trailer homes. There's a lot of lower, like, homes that are falling apart, and there's kids living in there. They don't have a lot. And I've done that with my son too. I've given, like, when he grows out of something, I still do it now. Brand new clothes. I mean, when these kids start growing, they grow quick. Yeah. And these clothes were hardly worn, and I always look for who can use this. I'm not sticking them in that bin over there from somebody, because I heard that those clothes go nowhere or they resell them. So I look for the kids that don't have anything, and I'm like, okay, this is the size. Can you use these things? And I was bringing clothes to people's houses and putting them on their porch when they weren't home, because I knew that this kid could wear this.
That's amazing.
Much appreciated, you know?
Yeah. I want to say, as a human citizen, that in all due mushiness, because that's what I tend to do, I really appreciate knowing you, and I really appreciate that that's the kind of person you are, that you care about people. I really love you. You're just awesome.
Well, I think it's because I grew up the way I did, and I try and do things as much as I can without taking from, people around me. If it's in my power, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I always say, I got lottery tickets sitting in my purse I bought the other day. And I said, this is for the people that I'm in contact with, our social group, and you, and people that I know that can use something, a little bit of something. If I win, they're getting it.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I look forward to seeing my check in the mail, Lorene.
Oh, hey. It won't be a check, though. I would just deposit it right through PayPal.
Nice. Oh, that's even better. It's even better.
So it's better. I won't put that sit in the bank. Are you kidding?
Yeah, no kidding. That reminds me of, back when I was doing my fundraiser in February, March, you had sent me, of course, you gave me lots of help and sent me lots of really great videos and lots of great chants to do and things like that. And other people did too, and something that you sent me, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was a Luna Ash. I can't quite remember, but whoever it was, and I'm sorry to whoever it was because I don't.
That's okay. Tell me what it was about. Maybe I
she was talking about Anelia Benz. That's who it was. She was talking about the relationship to money, and something that she said was to hold money, to touch money, because we have this. I hope I'm totally correct in what she had said, but when she was growing up, her mother instilled in her the programming that money is dirty and money is evil, and if you touch money, go wash your hands immediately because it's this gross, icky thing,
Well, that's true, though. But that doesn't mean that you're looking at it as an evil or dirty thing. It just means you're not going to catch whatever else if somebody was sick and handled that.
Yeah.
That's
but it was the mentality behind it too, of like, this is a dirty, awful thing, and I grew up with that too. I got that programming too, of like, money is really dirty, it's gross, and it's the root of all evil, and if you're rich, right, what do we say? We say you're filthy rich, right? We don't say you're cleanly, beautifully, pristinely rich, which we should. But and this goes into, of course, spell casting and the words that we use. And so I started, after I heard that video back in February, every time I get like $5 or whatever, and like in cash, I'll put it between my hands and I'll hold it and I'll just say, thank you so much, money. I will use you only for good. I will use you to improve my life and the life of my family and the lives of the people in the world. So keep sending your brethren to me because I will continue to use you for good. So I'm reprogramming that idea of like money equals bad, or
it's your relationship. Your relationship with money has to be positive in order to bring more in. And the lack consciousness has to go. The lack consciousness cannot be there. And do that too, because you're just canceling each other out.
Yeah. And I'm really happy because I got rid of that years ago, the idea of like, oh, there's only so much money in the world. No, there isn't, bitch, please. They are printing that shit whenever they want it. Come on. My husband still has a little bit of that, or like, hey, honey, can we go and maybe take $10 and go to the thrift store and see what kind of yarn people have? I don't know, but it's like we have it and more is coming. So shouldn't we? To a certain degree, shouldn't we go and spend $2 of it and more?
Everybody has their own. Everybody has their own relationship with money, and whatever works for you is going to work for you. So just keep trying everything you can.
Yes.
Right.
Experiment.
One of them's going to work.
Yeah. And I feel like since I've started doing this, and now, instead of just like, oh great, I have money now, I can pay bills or whatever, instead I get actual excited, like, yay, I have money, I'm so excited. And Eric, because he's way better than he used to be, because he's still slightly in that scarcity, it's like, he'll sometimes come back and go, well, it's only $20, and I'll go, no, stop that, it's $20, we should celebrate that. It's $20. We could have zero.
Yeah.
We could have $0 instead of $20. Would you prefer zero? No, I would prefer 20. Then shut up.
Right.
Knock it off. So
That's true. That's true.
It really is. We really do have to have a relationship with money to a certain degree. And I think one of the issues that so many of us people who have struggled with money is that we haven't had a good relationship with money. We view it, it's almost, I once read somewhere, it was in, I wonder if it was in Shakti Gawaine's Creative Visualization. It may have been, which is a really great book if you've never seen it or read it. She talks about, and I'm pretty sure it's her, but I'm just going to say it's her for the sake of the conversation. In this book, it talks about our relationship with money, among so many other things. And one of the things it says is, if you have a friend and all you do is bitch and complain about the friend, and you say the friend is horrible behind their back, and you say the friend is dirty and they're evil and they're awful and all this other stuff, are you going to be friends with them for much longer? At some certain point, they're going to disengage from you, and your paths are going to do this, you know, because you are rejecting, you are repelling, right?
Right.
And she said, think of this in terms of money. So if you're constantly going, money is evil, money is awful, money is terrible, only, you know, all the rich people in the world are horrible, 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 horrible people, and that's why they have the money that they have. And I would say that a lot of them are, and that's why they are so stupidly rich the way that they are, right? You know, like Bill Gates and people like that, right? But that has to change, you know, if you view it more as a friendship or a relationship and start treating it with respect, then it does continue to come in. You know, and I've you know, I've been very public about my money issues that I've gone through and stuff, but you're constantly in a state of, you know, like we said in the first episode of this show, we can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time, you know. Right. So for the most part, I am trying to live as high conscious, aware, observer, neutral as much as possible, you know. But it's the odd little, you know, 2 to 5% of the time where you fall down into the pit again. You know, you have to climb out.
You're still living a physical life here.
Yes.
So, you know, in the times that you do go into that space and know that you have to do that, you're really jumping almost like a timeline, because you're living in a different parallel something, like a reality. And then you come back to your physical reality, and it's okay to do that. The more you do that, the better, but you can't live like that. You have to, you know, you have to be in the now, in your reality, in this world, in this timeline, in this space. And then when you have to jump out to do your magic, you jump out to do your magic and come back. Because that affects this.
Yeah. And I mean, the only positive thing really that I can see that comes from this, you know, once every couple of months or whatever, falling back into the shit abyss, is that you have to pull yourself out of it. You know, whether it's letting other people that you know you can depend on, that, hey, I'm going through this thing, and they give you some sort of words of encouragement or whatever. It's because you said something that got those words of encouragement, you know, or got that help potentially in some way, shape, or form. And so when you're in that shit abyss and you fall down that hole again, you know, you gotta just pull yourself out of it. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to try to remain as much as possible an observer, or at least jump back into observer mode. Like, okay, what is going on here? You know, like, what can I actually fix about this? Let me not try to engage so much with the 3D drama, and instead watch it from a broader, more expansive perspective. And then it starts to put things into a different light, right? And you start to go, okay, well, it's because maybe I'm thinking like this, or it's because maybe this happened, or it's because, you know. And, you know, I had someone in the thread say, you know, you got to change your thoughts because you're thinking negatively and blah, 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 blah. And I said, actually, I'm not. I am the one in my family who is always, we're making it. We're fucking thriving. We are rocking it. You know, every time something is accomplished, I pat us on the back. Literally. You know, like, I'll pat Eric and go, you did amazing. And then I'll pat myself and go, Holly, you did amazing. Because I think we need to celebrate when we accomplish things, or when we reach a goal, or when we just, anytime we achieve anything, even the little achievements, I think we have to celebrate that.
Yes.
You know?
And you're going to go through your test periods.
Yes.
If this is the way you think that you do things most of the time, universe is going to test you. You're going to get tested, and it's going to be, okay, you think you do this most of the time, let's see how you handle this one.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is, if you handle it really well, you'll get more of that.
Yeah.
If you fly off the handle and start saying, I can't do this no more, I'm going to end things, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that because this is happening and I can't handle it, well, guess what? You're going to get more of that.
Yeah.
So this little thing that you just went through was a test.
Yeah. And I think I didn't pass with flying colors, and I didn't fail, but I did okay.
You didn't remember fully what you just said, because you have the answer. It just blurted out of your mouth 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
And you didn't remember that because you panicked and all you saw was the negativity of it,
Yep.
not the test of it and
Yeah.
how to get through it. Now, this is one thing that it's hard to learn. But the next time something like this comes up, remember what I'm saying to you. It's a test.
Yep.
Get through it with flying colors so you can have more of the positive come your way. Pass the test and you won't have to deal with this anymore.
And I will pass it, dang nabbit.
You're going to remember I said this.
Yes.
Something comes up in the next little while, if it does, you're going to remember. You're going to hear my voice.
Yes,
remember,
I will.
Remember who you are, Holly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have the power. Nothing outside of us.
Yep. We aren't this 3D drama. We aren't the bodies and the, they're just vehicles from one place to the next. And if this is all just a simulation, and for some of us anyway, it's not real on a certain level for some of us, it's like, why invest so much? When you invest so much, okay, here's an example. Right now where my husband works, he is going, I mentioned early on in the show that, new management came in at the beginning of May, and they are just forking everything up to the nth degree, because it seems like their whole MO is to topple the company, is to ruin it from within. And and Eric has been through this before. He dealt with that in a factory 6 years ago in Ontario, where new management came in and they turned everything up on its ass. And, people couldn't take it because it was so chaotic, and they were just like, I'm leaving. And people were leaving left, right, and center, Eric included, because then we moved out here. But he's going through this again right now, and it seems to be balancing out. We've gotten through the explosive part of it, the biggest climax of it. But it seems that it's starting to dwindle down and balance out now, which is really great. So he might stay on a little longer, which is also really great. But I think it's at least in part to the advice that I gave him. And I said, look, if none of this shit's real, just have fun with it. When they're trying to give you drama and rein you into all the bullshit, just go, ha, 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 I'm here to do my job, fuck off, and just laugh about it. And just be like, look at everything falling apart, ha, 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 I remember there was this, and let me just say before I go on to this, is that he's been dealing with it a lot better since he's been taking that on board. But I had an experience early on with my family, my sister and my parents. When I was like 22-ish, when I was 14, my mom was diagnosed with MS, which as far as I'm concerned was completely connected to all of the really shitty food and the sugars and shit that she was eating. But when I was about 17 or 18, we moved from where we had always had our home. And we moved into this brand new house that my dad had built. My mom helped the architect draw up the plans. Like, this was their dream house, it was like an $800,000 house. Like, it was like to the nines. It had railings everywhere for her to hang on to as she walked around. My sister and I had a basement all to ourselves with a bathroom, and our own bedrooms, and a kitchenette and a little living area. It was, my dad really went above and beyond for my mom to make her really comfortable. And we lived there for maybe, I want to say like 3-4 years. Some of the details of anything before the last 5 years for me seem like an old life, so they're a little foggy for me sometimes. But we lived there for just under 5 years, I think, and or even less. And things were falling apart. My dad wasn't making the money to maintain paying the mortgage or however he had it set up. So he was going to loan sharks and all this other stuff. He had his car repossessed, and eventually we lost the house. We had no choice anymore. We had to just move on. And I remember, they lost the house while I was actually in Los Angeles working, and I came back to no home. And I came back to the four of us living in a small little hotel room. And but it was some of the greatest times that we ever had, because I remember this one night we were just sitting around playing a board game, couldn't tell you what it was, and eating snack foods and stuff, and just we were doing a lot of we were doing a lot of comfort eating from that situation, but there was a lull and it was very quiet. And I just suddenly said, we lost our house. And the four of us burst out laughing. Like it was the funniest fucking thing we'd ever heard anybody say.
Funny.
And it was like this release of like, this shit actually happened to us. We actually went through this stuff. And now here we are, not really on the other side of it because we're living in a hotel and we have no idea what we're going to do. Eventually, within, I think it was like 2 weeks, my dad found this old barn that there used to be a tennis club or something. Like people would come, there's a tennis court in the backyard. So people would come and pay money and hire rackets and play tennis, you know? And so he found this barn kind of sort of in the middle of, like it was outside of the town. It was kind of sort of in the middle of nowhere to a certain degree. And we all moved into it. And he was able to pay for it, and he still lives there. You know, like it was, and it's like 15, maybe 10, 15, somewhere in there years later, and he's still there, you know. But it was a really funny moment, you know, just me to go, we lost our house, and everyone just burst out laughing because it was exactly the relief we needed. Like, yeah, at least we're together, you know. Yeah. At least there's that, you know. Like there was a lot of gratitude that happened in that moment. And I'm because of that experience, I have been so much better about not so much money. And I grew up in a situation where my dad ran his own demolition company and he was the boss, and, you know, money wasn't secure. It wasn't a guarantee. Whereas Eric's father worked in the factory for like 20 years or something like that. So it was every 2 weeks, there was this amount of money and this is what we get and this is how we live. But for us, it was literally, you know, sometimes we're eating shitty Campbell's soup and Wonder Bread, you know, salmon sandwiches. And then other times we were going out to the keg and we were getting like cakes and clothes and I remember this one time my dad had this huge job and he used to do this really smart thing where he would price a job, and instead of saying what he wanted for the job, you're like, okay, I'll do the job for 200 grand or something like that. He would go in and he'd look around and he'd look at everything, because what was important to him was like, he wanted to recycle everything, you know. He wasn't just one of these demolition dudes who came in and bashed things down and was like, done, where's my check? You know, it was more like, I want to see what I can get out of this to help other people, you know, because he has always seen the beauty in like old brick and old wood and like just the way things used to be, right? And so he would walk around a warehouse or whatever, an old factory or something, and then he would say, okay, I'll do it for $2. I'll do it for a toonie right now. But I get to keep everything that I rip out of here. Yeah. And you have to give me a certain amount of time. Okay.
No, go ahead. I can still hear
you. Okay. So I remember there was this one job in particular that he was like, I'll do it for $2. And he ended up ripping out like $500,000 worth of like copper and brick and steel and wood and all this other stuff, you know. And I remember after he got some of that money, he went to Future Shop and he came home with this, he came home with this massive TV that was like 5.5, 6 feet wide, and it was taller than me at 5'2", you know, and a DVD player and a video recorder. And I was like, how much money did you spend? He was like, 15 grand. And I'm like, you're fucking insane. You know, like, what the hell? So that was how my life, my childhood was so like extreme. You know, it was so like, we got nothing, or my dad just spent $15,000 at Future Shop on shit that we don't really need, you know? So, you know, I've had that upbringing, so I've been a lot better with the money thing because I never really had that sort of security in my life, you know, until being with Eric. Because Eric worked in a factory for the first 6 years that we were together when we lived in Ontario, and now he's not in the factory, and that's wonderful. But I'm sorry, this is my long-winded way of saying, you know, thankfully I have this backbone there, you know, that the panic doesn't happen that often. You know, it's just Monday morning, everything had seemed to pile up. You know, it was my subscription to this, and it was the hydro bill, and it was rent, and it was this weird dream about this old friend of mine, and I'm clenching my teeth when I sleep, which is, that is a horrible feeling.
Yeah. Well, you probably have other stresses too in your body right now. Who knows? But
Yes.
If you're
And well, last week we were getting chemtrailed like the most I've ever seen.
You need to let that go. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
Look I lived in darkness for the last 2 fucking weeks, okay? There's been darkness here. It's been like fucking Gotham City. And yesterday we had sun. And I get up this morning to sit out there with my coffee to watch the sunrise, and they're spraying all over the sun area. Like constantly. Now I've got big puffy clouds in the sky, and it's going to be 48 hours before those trails blanket the sky again. So I've had a day and a half out of 2 weeks of sun.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Get it.
Like that I had to I did things in the house. I did things out, even though it wasn't too cold out, I was still able to get out in the yard, but I still had to dress warmer, with sweater or pullover because it was colder. And, I was starting to really get down in the dumps. Not only that, we couldn't cut our grass because it was wet all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Toby, my little dog, was hopping through the grass just to get to the door in the back because it was so long. So my husband just cut it, and he cut it in the rain because we couldn't let it go any longer.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting so bad. And the mosquitoes are out now. But you know what? I was starting to feel it. I was starting to, feel my energy level go down, and I just did things that made me feel better.
Good.
I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go there in my head because there's nothing I can do about it.
Yep.
I just have to wait for the day that the sun comes out. Yeah.
And maybe that's how we beat certain things. It's like something that Eric and I have adopted the last few years is like trying to make things irrelevant. Like people will talk about, I want to protest, and I'm gonna ask the government for, I'm gonna protest against the government for, like, I want this right or whatever. But I'm just like, that's irrelevant. Just take what you inherently.
You're a sovereign being. Just do it. Goddamn.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I still go through that with the chemtrails because the last few years, most of the time when there's lots of trails, I end up getting a headache. I end up getting a sore throat.
But headache could be ascension symptoms.
Yeah.
That headache could be the energies that are coming in. You can't always blame it on the chemtrails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It always happens when we're getting sprayed. The rest of the time I don't get headaches. I've never been a headache person. It's literally just been the last couple of years.
Yeah,
that I've
me
that.
neither, Holly. No. I don't get headaches, but when I was getting them a few weeks back, and I listened to Luna Ash, and she said that symptoms to this are going to be headaches, runny nose, runny eyes. You know what I mean? I've had all of that. I'm not going to say, it's because of the chemtrails. I'm going to, in my mind, go the positive route and say, well, maybe I'm getting ascension symptoms or whatever the energies are affecting me that are coming in right now that are good for me. I'm totally good. You know what I mean? I got past it all. I got through my headache, and I don't take anything either when I get a headache. I live through it.
No, me neither. Well, I smoke a joint usually.
But
that's it.
But I need to feel it. I want to feel it. I want to know where it's coming from. I don't want to mask it.
Yep.
And I don't want to stop anything magical that's coming in. I want to receive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's a really good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I am proactively practicing that now because.
And it'll come. And, you know what? I used to think that all the time, and I used to be there. But now it's on a daily basis. I try and see things so differently now, and it helps.
Yeah. It goes back to what I said about trying to tap into just being the observer instead. And
Frank always says, "Be the observer." Frank always says.
You've probably seen that meme. You've probably seen that meme that says something along the lines of. When something is going on in your life, like some sort of drama or whatever, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is there? What little
exactly
nugget, pieces of the puzzle can I get?
What's going on here that I need to learn something from?
Yeah.
And I voice it to my husband, because he'll be like, oh my God, or he's saying stuff, and I'm like, no, there's something I need to learn from this. Let me process it. Let me figure it out, because he doesn't want me to fly off the handle like I usually used to do. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, Bill, there's something here I need to learn. So let me process, because I'll figure it out.
Yep.
And we don't argue about it now, and I just go my own way, and I sit in my own little corner, and I think about things, and I get on with shit.
Good. That's so much better than dwelling. Because I used to be very, very angry myself, and then the bathtub situation happened, and I got like this brand new life after that, and it really puts things in perspective. Like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel so angry towards people or towards the situation. I mean, people like us, we all know the situation. We all know the system is corrupt. You know, we all know this bullshit's happening on a day-to-day. You know, that's why I don't even really pay attention so much anymore to what's going on. You know, because I have this saying that's like, once you've seen one false flag, you've seen them all, because it's the same pattern over and over and over and over, right? So you start to glean that gnosis of like, when you see one,
you can
like, whatever. I don't need to learn from the other ones. I already know. You know, I'm not even
separate yourself from that. See it this way. That's
make it irrelevant.
World. That's their world, not yours.
Yes.
They create all this stuff, and they're the ones that have to deal with all of what comes from it.
Yep.
We're sovereign beings. Do what you want to do. Nobody, you know, people used to say, "Oh, I can't do this. I can't do this." You can. Why can't you? Who's at your door saying you can't do this? Do it.
Well, their government told them, or their religion told them, or their parents told them,
or they whatever. They heard somebody else say it, but it's
or the news told them.
That's their world over there in Washington, and whatever they do. It's not my world.
Yes,
I'm aware, and I'll always be aware of what's going on. But that's not none of my business.
But make it irrelevant. Live your life in such a way that that's not relevant.
Exactly. There's two different worlds going on here. There's many, many different layers to what's going on here. There's not just one.
Yeah. And there's so many people have talked about that too, about this world breaking off into two different worlds. And however,
that way.
Yep. Yeah, like Dolores Cannon has talked about that, and it was in, I think when she talked about it, it was in more of an energetic sense. Like what would happen is it would break off, and it would actually create two different worlds. So what would happen is, like, if you are an awake and aware being, all the people who aren't would just simply fade out, kind of situation, and you would fade out for them, and maybe you would even lose memory of it or something. I don't know. But there have been many people who've talked about this two earth thing. And it's interesting too, because it takes me back to like Zecharia Sitchin's stuff. Have you ever looked into the Sumerian stuff? Yeah. That earth apparently came from two planets. Like, is that right? Two planets colliding or something? One of them was Tiamat, and the other one was, I don't remember the name of the other one, but they collided or something, and that created Earth and the Van Allen belt or whatever.
There's many stories. There's many stories about that. So I don't know who's right and who's not. I think that there's a piece of the truth in all of it. Yes. We're never going to know unless we tap into that and we're getting good information. Now, the book that I just finished reading, Magenta Pixie, she goes into all of that. You should really, download that book and read it.
Yeah, I would love
so many answers to your questions from that. And she even talks about not every person is right in what they're saying. And neither is she. There's just keys to whatever resonates with you. There's so many different things that will resonate with you on this planet or not. You choose. You choose.
Yeah. And like, even the things that are so obviously corrupt and are put there to control people, like religion, for example, there are little teeny tiny little nuggets of truth and information sprinkled in there,
You choose whether you want to sit in those pews and learn that shit. And there are truths in it. There's truths in every religion. It's just that they're little ones.
Yeah, very little, very tiny.
Right?
Microscopic.
The majority of it is lies and bullshit to direct the masses how they want them.
Yeah.
But there's little truths in there.
Yeah.
But
Everybody has a piece.
You choose what you're going to listen to. That's where your power is.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I love. What's really cool is like the last few months you've been sending me lots of stuff that I just don't watch on my own. So it's broadening what I have already tap into,
right,
and making me look at things a slightly different angle. Like
yeah.
Usually I'm pretty expansive anyway, but that has expanded things even more, where it's like, okay, well, here's another possibility.
And every time I send you something, not all of it you're going to resonate with, only some of
Yes.
it. You take what you need and you leave the rest.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Including this show. Including anyone watching this show. Take what you need and leave the rest.
Everything in life.
Yeah.
Take what you need and leave the rest, because you're not going to resonate with everything. And nothing's going to get shoved down your throat, because you know to say, no, I'm good. Right now, this is what I need. I'll go back to that. And in the beginning, when we started these shows, this is what I said. I take information and I have to process it. And I get rid of what I don't need.
Yep.
And I keep what I need for now. I may need that later, or may not, or maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to dismiss it completely. It's always going to be in a file somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah,
when
it's always filed away for future reference.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. How do you like? No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Live your life, I said.
Yeah, you change one little thing and it changes everything.
Yep, your paradigm switches. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, you're now in a new paradigm when you learn something new. You're at a different level. Even if it's just something small, you go to your next level. And Magenta Pixie said, there is no end to the levels. You will always keep going up as long as this is where you want to go.
Yep. I've wondered.
You want to stay stagnant? That's where you're going to stay.
Yeah. I've wondered if that's just all part of this evolutionary, of the evolution of our individual consciousness, is the idea of like, we have to realize that this isn't real and we shouldn't invest so much into it. And then you start to broaden so much more.
Yeah.
Instead of being so into the drama.
Real. I don't walk around saying this isn't real and this is a simulation, because I live here.
Yeah.
So I have to interact in that way, because if I don't, it's not going to interact back with me.
Yeah.
It's going to stay away from me. You know what I mean? Even though it may be a simulation, your power still works here. And you will interact with that simulation.
That's a really good point, because I say that a lot. I go, none of this shit's real. Who cares? It's fine.
Look at what you get. Look at what you're getting. Okay, if I'm not real, then you're not going to get what's not real.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I haven't thought of that. Okay, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to augment what it is that I say. Yeah, I got to find a better way to express that.
Like we talked about Dani Katz's book. My daughter took it home. She fell in love with it. Good.
I'm so glad.
Listen, if you can find some of her videos, watch them. Stop saying the stuff that's keeping you from abundance. You're doing it.
I think that's probably like the only thing that I say that's not serving me, but I say it enough.
Be conscious of your words when they're coming out of your mouth then, and start writing things down. Start saying, oh God, or how are you feeling when that comes out of your mouth? How are you feeling? Me and you went through that first part of that book where I read those words to you. How did those feel? How are you feeling when certain stuff comes out of your mouth? Are you really feeling that to be real? Or are you feeling that because you heard it somewhere and you want to use it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep. It's really
what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because years ago when I was so angry, I noticed pretty quickly, like in my early teens, that when I would yell angry words or I would say mean things to people, my throat would start to hurt.
But it hurt you.
Yes. But whenever I would be kind, everything would be fine.
And you get that back. When you're nasty with people, you're only going to get it back. You're slapping yourself in the face every time.
Yep.
But when you're nice to people, did you hear Frank and Paula's last show from the 11th?
No.
Oh, you got to go back and listen to it. They talked about
I will.
this. They went into Lowe's. They were deciding where they're going to, Home Depot or Lowe's, Home Depot or Lowe's. And they said all of these elderly people were walking around there like they owned the place. They were being nasty. They were blocking they had such a bad experience. But Frank said as soon as, he watched people be nasty to the lady that was checking them out. So when he got up there, he was like, all happy and everything. How are you? And then he said things changed like that. One person changed the environment, the feel of the environment. You have to listen to it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's true. I do it, and I was like, oh my God, again, they're touching on something that I do all the time. I will walk into a place, and it's like, eyes turn to see me. I don't know what it is. It's my energy. I'm walking out of my vehicle to go to the door, and people are looking at me. I'm like, again, I'm thinking, okay, because my aura is, they're seeing something they don't know what they're seeing. It's not really me they're looking at. It's the energy.
Yes.
And the ladies at the checkouts all the time, and when I go to the bank all the time now to do the business deposits and stuff, honest to God, the reception that I get now is so different than a couple years ago, because I'm like bubbly when I go in there, and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And the ladies that I do know, we have laughs. They're depositing my checks, and we're laughing back and forth, because she'll say something and I'll say something back, which is a truth that, and then all of a sudden they'll look at you and go, oh my God, yes. So I make their day just by doing something like that.
Yeah.
And it changes everything.
Yep. Yeah, I've experienced that, because I'm always the cheerful person that you see in conversations. It's totally who I am, like, all the time. And it's just the odd, like Monday morning.
And everybody
like,
has their ups and downs. You're going to have your bad days. Everybody has their ups and downs.
Yeah.
Nobody can be cheery 100% 24/7. It's not reality.
No, but it's my default setting to smile and be like, how you doing? And to tell jokes and flirt and be charming and all this stuff,
and that's good.
Yeah. Because I know how it feels when other people are like that with me. I hate being in a situation where someone's like, hi, how are you? Like, just so totally hating
it. I feel that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what's wrong? Are you okay? Or, like, and then to them, like, are you sure you're okay? Because, when I first just talked to you, you didn't sound very good. Like, when my husband calls me or I call him and he answers the phone, I know right away the way he answered the phone, there's something wrong.
Yep.
And then I got to drag it out of his ass, because he's like, no, everything's okay. I'm like, no, it's not. Because you never answer the phone like that.
Yep.
And how would you feel if I answered the phone like that? You're going to ask me what's wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when Eric comes home, you can tell immediately in how he says hi, right? Because he'll come home and go, hello, honey. And I'll be like, oh, he's doing great. This is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
Other times he just walks in the door and doesn't say anything. And then I'm just like, hey, baby, how's it going? And he'll be like, oh, it's going. And I'm like, one of those, eh?
Yeah. And because you're tapped in and
Yeah.
So I was wondering how funny we're talking about this, because when I saw the link come through, I'm like, God, I hope I don't answer this and she's got like a really sad look on her face, because I'm going to know right away that,
No, that was yesterday. Everyone, we were supposed to record yesterday, and I said, I just can't do it today. Can we please do it tomorrow? Because I knew that would be the thing, that I would end up maybe crying or
I wasn't sure what I was going to see.
Less animated. Yeah.
But I'm glad that you were smiling.
I just said it's my default setting, it's just even yesterday I would have smiled and made jokes and stuff,
and I knew that too, but still at the same time it still ran through my mind, and I already knew how I was going to deal with it. I already knew, like, you know what I mean? I was already ready for you.
Oh, you would have been great.
So,
yeah, but I'm glad we waited until today.
Yes, for sure.
It was the break that I needed. And then especially because I woke up this morning and I got, like, to get 2 jobs this morning, You
I
know,
know.
both character work, which is my
When
forte.
you
You
emailed
know?
me, I was like, yeah, see,
Yeah.
it's coming.
Yeah. And I want to say a very public thank you to everybody in that thread. If you happen to be watching our show today, you know, everybody who even if you just liked it or loved the thread and didn't say anything, like you definitely put your energy in there and you helped lift things up and maybe even helped to make things happen, because I ended up getting some help from my father, and then our friend Kevin showed up and had work for Eric. So all of the energy that, you know, was brought to us is it was incredible, and I'm nothing but grateful. You know, it was an incredible experience. Yeah.
Very
It'll be
good.
a long time, if ever, that I go through something so horribly again, you know, where I feel so down and
But the
yeah.
next time you're going to pass the test. Probably.
Yes. I think I did okay. I think I got like a 60 on this one. But next time I'm aiming for at least a 75. You know, I want to beat, you know.
But don't
Yeah.
scare people and say, I can't do this anymore.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like I'm gonna say publicly, I used to be a depressed person. I used to be suicidal, and that has not been me the last 5 years, and that will not be me, because I do see things from such a broad enough perspective now that that's not gonna happen. So that's not what I meant. It was literally like when I said I can't do this anymore, it was more like I just want to stay in bed and put the covers over my head, and I don't know what to do right at this second, you know. But for me, everything changes. I find, like, from moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. As a Pisces, I'm constantly riding the waves of emotion.
Oh, you are Pisces.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. Give me your birth date.
March 1st, 1981 at 8:18 in the morning in Cambridge, Ontario.
3/1/81.
Yep.
And the time was what?
8:18 a.m.
Okay.
Yep.
I have
so everybody can do my chart if they want to.
I'm going to do your chart for you and send it to you.
Cool.
Because I have Astro Gold.
Cool.
So I'll do all this and I'll send you everything, because I've been wanting to do this and I kept forgetting to ask you the exact everything. But I'm going to get this done and send it to you, and I'll send it through your email, because I have to send every explanation of all of the planets in your chart. I'm going to do your Black Moon Lilith. I'm going to do all of it.
I've never heard of the Black Moon Lilith.
Yeah, I have all of it. So I just punch in your birth date. It calculates everything, and a whole readout comes out.
Do you need to know the place I was born?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Cambridge, Ontario. Or Galt, G-A-L-T. It's a part of Cambridge or something like that.
Okay, so if Galt, G-A-U-L-T?
No, U.
G-A-L-T?
Yeah. Galt or Cambridge. It's the same thing, essentially.
One of them will come up in the list.
Yeah.
As soon as I put Cambridge, Ontario, Galt might come up. Because Galt is in Cambridge.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, that's how it's going to come up.
Yeah, they're like called like the Tri-Cities or something like that. And it's
okay. It might come up Tri-City too, so I'm going to write it down. It might just come up Tri-City. Yeah, I'm going to do that, because I've been wondering about your chart and where your planets are placed, and I really have been wanting to look at it. So thank you. I'm going to do that, and I'll send you all of the information.
Okay, good. I can tell you some of them. I know some of them off by heart. You know, like my Mercury's in Aquarius, and my Mars and Venus are Pisces, you know, stuff like that.
But I want to know about the energies of those planets in those areas and how it's affecting you, because I think I know enough about you now that I can read between the lines and try and get a little picture going for you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do that.
You should send me yours too. You should do one for you and send me that.
I have done mine. I've got it saved. It's just that I don't have a time of birth.
Oh, okay.
And it's more accurate with the time of birth. So I flip flop. Like I know my Vedic, all my Vedic, and I know my Western, but Vedic is more right on, more spot on than Western, because Western we're off so many degrees now that it doesn't, you know, some of it will make sense, but I'm a Libra moon in Vedic. So I follow my Libra moon readings in Vedic. And then my Leo, but actually in Vedic, I'm a Cancer, not a Leo. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You're a Pisces, but you would be Aquarius is the one before Pisces.
Yeah.
You would actually be Aquarius in Vedic.
Which makes sense because I'm a total nonconformist. I'm very individual. I do things so differently.
Vedic astrology might make more sense to you than Western. Now, if
I've never looked into it. I've never looked into Vedic astrology.
Okay, if you want to, go to Joni Patri.
Send me the link.
I'll send you the link.
But say it here. Sorry, say it here for everyone else.
Yeah, Joni Patri.
Joni Patri. Okay.
So she's on YouTube, and there's Heidi Vandenberg too, but she's not on much anymore. But Joni Patri taught Heidi, and they're very, very good. And she just, I'll send you the one she just put out yesterday for all of the stars. And then you can go to her website, and she has a Vedic astrology calculator. So you can put all your information in, and you'll get a chart. Make sure you print it out. Okay, so that'll be your Vedic signs.
I'm really interested in that. You know, it's interesting. I was just having this conversation with Randy where I was saying, I think astrology is a really big deal. And you know how Chris and Sheree say that, you know, like if you understand the stars and the constellations, whatever, essentially you're getting some code, you're getting like some background information about the matrix itself. And I've been really feeling that the last few months that I need to delve back into astrology because I feel like it holds a lot of answers, you know. And recently, Dani Arnold-McKenny of Unfuckers Unite has been doing videos with these 3 girls, and it's all about astrology, and it's fascinating. I've seen just the first one, and in the first one, the one girl, Megan, she's talking about the painting, The Last Supper. And that it's actually a depiction. Yes, it's a depiction of astrology. The whole time I was like, holy fuck, it totally is.
The whole Bible is astrological.
Yeah. So if anyone hasn't seen those, go to Removing the Shackles on YouTube and check those out because I was so fascinated by the Last Supper astrology breakdown. And it was exactly as it said.
I went through that whole another paradigm that I lived way back when Dan Brown started coming out with all his books, the symbol and stuff, because I have them all. And then I discovered the astrology in the Bible and the Last Supper through him. I went down that rabbit hole a long time ago.
Nice.
So I've learned a lot about it since, but it's been out there for a long time.
I think astrology is maybe one of the most important keys.
Well, the priests in this earth back in the day that started controlling everything from the Vatican and that, they were all major astrologers.
Oh, sure.
Everyone.
But then they tell their sheep, don't follow astrology.
Exactly.
Because it's witchcraft.
And when you just keep people down. Oh, you can't do that. Astrology. I mean, there's family people in my family. Well, it's actually my husband, but that actually pushed me away because I know astrology. Because I'm the devil.
I was just we can see so clearly that it's not
in today's day and age to have that kind of thinking is really
it's like burning witches at the stake.
You really got to be controlled badly to, in this day and age, look at somebody that's in your family and say
especially when they have shown you kindness and made jokes with you and broke bread with you and all this other stuff, and it's like you could potentially actually think that I am the devil or worshiping the devil just because I'm interested in this thing, like
because I don't go to church.
Trust me, I understand your annoyance with that.
Good luck on your journey, because you be coming back.
And I mean, if you aren't connecting with those people, you will forge, as you have, obviously, you will forge connections with people that are much more better suited.
Oh yeah,
Same
That's
frequency.
the only place I could really do that, because people understand me because they're the same type. You know what I mean? They understand the same things and more.
Yep.
So I want to learn from these people, and that's why I'm there.
Yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel like this is a good spot? Yeah. This has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Really good spot, yes.
It's
in many ways.
yes, on all accounts. It's always great to get together with you, Lorene.
Absolutely.
Always. Although I do have my moments though where I kind of feel like, is every single show like turning into you guiding me or my therapy session or something?
No, you just it only is only going to flow with what comes out of our mouths, and we said that right from the beginning, right? So whatever it is, it's always going to be on an honest level and a guiding level if that needs to be.
Yeah.
And a helpful level if that needs to be, whatever needs to be. And it's not all only for you, but everybody else that listens to this, right?
Yeah. Yes, this is what we talked about at the beginning of last episode, where I was like, what are we doing this for? And you were like, it's for the people that aren't where we're at, and they haven't even learned these things. I may need to be reminded sometimes, but there are some people who are just learning all of this stuff. So this is new for them, right? And so that's, I mean, I do love the show. It's not like I want to quit the show. It's just that you have those moments sometimes.
Even though they may not know this, but they're going to be drawn here because they want to know more. So this will be another level, right? Or another stair step. And then from here, they'll go somewhere else. And we can, so there's the Eye of Ra on TFR radio that Ra has really good information. I learned a lot from him. He also has a Patreon. There's Fearless, Frank Castle, and his ethereal translator, Paula, on TFR every Friday night, or Saturday night, sorry. Ra's on Saturday night, Frank's on Saturday night. There's Beyond the Veil, TFR, and there's all these people have groups in Facebook, and I want to write this stuff down so we can get that put at the bottom, but who else?
Removing the Shackles and Unfuckers Unite. It's a great spot.
Yeah.
You mentioned
there. A lot of information out there.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Castaldo, and it reminded me of something I wanted to say, just as like an addendum or whatever, because Randy listened to the last show, and then after he listened to the show, he and I had a conversation, and he said, I wanted to make sure people understood what we were talking about what's coming based on the Notre Dame fire and all of this, or what they're trying to bring in. And I said, well, it had to do, from my understanding, it had to do with bringing in the not so divine feminine, right? And he said, yes, but it was the old ones, like the giants and, all of that sort of thing. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm not explaining it amazing, but the Raphaim, that's mentioned, I guess, in the Bible, but weirdly enough, I've never heard, I've heard Nephilim and Elohim and, but I've never heard Raphaim until his last conversation with Castaldo.
Yeah. If anybody wants to know more about that, Ra has that up, I think, on his, Randy has that on his, right?
And Randy has it up.
Yeah. And Ra talks about it too. So at the Mystical Spiral, Ra's website is Mystical Spiral. And this is I did get my...
You got it!
I got it.
That's awesome.
Ra makes all of these, and they're all energetically charged. This is for a lot of stuff, healing and all kinds of stuff for your animals too. You can use it. So he's got a lot of stuff that, he's a great guy, man. Good guy to listen to if you want to know more. So.
Yeah, and we plug all these people because they've helped us so much on our journey.
So where we came from, this is what got us here is these people. So yeah. Of course, Blue Raven. She also has a lot of good information. She has some stuff on YouTube as well as Patreon. It goes a little bit beyond what we talk about here, but if you're ready for that, that's where to go. She's got the good.
Yeah. Oh, and let me mention Lauda Leon, or Leon. Do you know her?
Yeah, I've listened to some of her stuff.
Yeah, she's very interesting.
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go. Everyone, you got your homework.
Yep.
I have homework too.
Yeah. I'm going to get outside and get some planting done. So thank you for another great show. And keep in touch. I'll get your chart done and send it to you, and then we'll talk.
I'm very excited to read it all. Thank you so much for all your guidance and your kindness and your understanding and your patience. And it's, of course, this has been a really good, at the beginning of this show, I was just kind of like, I don't have a lot to talk about today other than some 3D bullshit, you know, but then we started getting into it and I was like, oh, no,
as always,
a little bit more.
always something will come out.
Yeah,
and it ended up, it's going to come out.
Yeah, and it ended up being, I think, maybe one of our more in-depth, in some ways, show. You know, so I'm glad that we were talking about maybe getting someone on for this episode, but I really needed this. I needed to be able to just talk with you alone and alone, you know, you know.
Get a hold of Sam and let her know that she'll be coming on the next show. Make sure that she knows that now.
Let's do it. Sam, are you ready?
Yep. You're coming on, Sam, next show. So
okay.
We'll both awesome. Tag her in under this and tell her next show should be coming on, and we'll let her know. Well, we can do it again. What are you thinking for next week? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Wednesday. Let's set it for Wednesday.
Okay.
You want to do it Tuesday?
Either any of those days is totally fine by me. I'll unflex.
We'll give her that same thing. We'll say Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or whatever, and then we'll let her know night before or a couple days before for sure.
Okay.
All right, Holly, have a great day.
You too. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you. Yeah, have a fabulous day. You're now in your afternoon, and it is just 12 now for me, so it's lunchtime.
2:53 here. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
have a fabulous day.
I
can't wait till the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you.